All right, guys, so I got the hood right now open, and these are some of the first steps that I did to be able to replace this EGR cooler. Now, the EGR cooler is right under this exhaust system right here, right? So let me tell you the first thing I did. So what I did was remove this air handler. So of course you got some tabs right there, 1, 2, 3. This will open, and then of course there is an easy slip. You could just pull this up with your hand and that will release. This car is actually missing a screw. Normally there's a screw here, but there's not one here right now. And then what I do is just go ahead and start disconnecting all of these hoses, right? So I disconnect this, disconnect that. I remove this clamp, remove this, that. All right. So yeah, so that's how pretty much all of these connectors are set up. All right, cool. Then we remove this, I remove that, I remove this. Okay, so just lifting them out. And then also I went ahead and disconnect that right here. Then I take this off. So I remove the air handler. That was the first thing I did. Remove all this air handler all the way down here. And in the back right there, there's a 13 millimeter. Now, here, we lift this out the way. The cover. So, take this off right here. More access right here. Of course, I just pull this out, squeeze and pull up, just so I could get out, so I could have it sit out of the way. And then also behind here, there is a connector. I disconnected that connector because this connector is a sensor that runs to the bottom all the way that connect to the EGR at the bottom, right? Now I come over here on the left side. I got rid of these two, 1, 2, 3, 10 millimeter. So I take those off. And after I took those off, then I was able to do this T30 here, undo this T30, and then remove this out of the way. Then I pull this out, and then of course there I have more access. Then after, I go under the bottom of the car because most of this work is done from underneath, not on the top. All right, so let me go ahead and jack it up right now. We're going to go ahead and set 2 jack stand under this vehicle. We get all the way back. All right, so the first thing, right, that I remove is this drive shaft. That's on 15 millimeter bolt, and that actually sits on the other side of this drive shaft. So it goes in, you'll see it goes in like this. See it? Look at that. It goes in like that. That's the first step, right? All right, so remove that. Let's put it out of the way. All right, cool. Now we'll remove that. Then after, I have some triple square here for the CV joint. So I remove all 6 triple square bolt. Then drop the drive shaft down, right? Of course, I had the wheel turn all the way to the right. The steering wheel turn all the way to the right to make sure I had, just a little bit more room. All right, then next thing, we have some 13 millimeters right here. 1, 2, 3. So this, let me give you some insight. 1, 2, and then we got 2 on the inside here, inside there. All right, so that's 4 13 millimeter that's connected to this catalytic converter. All right, then once we remove that, okay, we come in here and we remove, this is a 5, it's an Allen 5. Let me see if I can do a close up on that. All right, there, it's an Allen 5. I remove that. Then I'm up here and I remove those 2 bolts. One on each side. There's one here and there's one there. Then I remove this piece here just to make sure that, of course, the resonator or whatever they call that, I remove that just to make sure that I can move this catalytic converter. Because as you know, up top, you saw me removing the 3 bolts already. So that makes things a little easier here. All right. So like I said, most of the job is done here at the bottom. So that's why I'm down here trying to do some explanation of what's going on. All right. Then next thing you know, we're going to remove this bracket, right? And then we're going to remove another bracket that's right behind it. So it's 2 of them right there. Now this is your EGR cooler valve that you're looking at right here. This is the valve, right? And of course there's a connector right here for this valve. See the connector right there. Cool. Then for the EGR cooler, there it is. We got a T30 right there. You guys can see that. There's a T30 right here at the bottom, and there's one exactly on the opposite side up there. All right. And then down here on this side, to the right of it, there's another T30. That's right on the opposite side of that. Let me see if I can just find it. Right there. Okay. So we got 4 T30. These are the shorter ones. That's on the right side, the passenger side of the car, and the longer ones are on the driver's side of the car, or towards the driver's side, right? Now, once you get those 4 loose, those 4 bolts loose, you got to remove. This is a oil hose or metal hose that comes from here, like looks like it comes from the turbo all the way down to the bottom of the engine. You have to remove that hose also, right? So this is a 25 millimeter, so you need a 25 millimeter right here, and you'll definitely need some long ratchets to get all the way up to the top, because on the top of this hose, on the top of that hose right here for the 25 millimeter, at the top you'll have some I don't know if you can see it from here, right there, you'll have some Torx 40 that you'll have to just loosen up. You don't have to remove them, but just to the right you'll have a 16 millimeter that's right there that needs to come out. So you have to get that 16 millimeter out so you can loosen that up, because if you're not able to remove this piece of metal here or this hose, you won't be able to get the EGR cooler out. This job is not for the faintest of heart. It is a lot of extension, a lot of small sockets, it's a lot, but it's doable. If you have some time, nice little garage, or you are interested in doing this, because they're going to charge a lot to do this job. All right, now once we get these 4 T30 millimeter out and we have this EGR cooler loose, the next step to get it down, right? This hose that is connected here will have to, behind here there is a T5, and that's a hex, right? Yeah, that's a hex. So you have to remove that so you can take this metal hose off. Once you take this metal hose off, then you'll have enough space to be able to come through this area here with the drive shaft just slightly out of the way. If you don't take this metal hose off, then there's no way the EGR cooler will be able to get down here. So that's the way I did it, right? But last not least, right there is another connector, or there is another hose, look like a brake hose is connected right here, and that is also something that needs to be disconnected. That is a 14 millimeter, so you have to remove that 14 millimeter, and then and only then you have a chance after you remove the connector from behind right there. So once you got the connector out, then you are ready to start to bring everything down this way. Now, this catalytic converter needs to be pushed back, and of course you have to take out these 4 bolts like I said before, right? So you got these 4 bolts out, you loosen up the one at the top. Let me go back to the top and show you something. There is just on the opposite side, you should be able to see that there is there's a bolt right there at the bottom. There it is. That is a 13 millimeter that also has to be removed. Once you remove that, then you'll be able to move this to the right. But before you're able to move this, you have to disconnect right here. Another right here. You gotta remove this clamp, right? And be careful. So there's a washer, the exhaust washer goes in here, so it doesn't fall out. So you gotta disconnect that, and then you'll be able to slide this and move it to the side. But if you don't move it to the side, of course you can't get the EGR cooler out from the bottom. And then once you're able to do that, that's how you remove the EGR cooler, and that's how you're able to be able to remember 90% of this work is done at the bottom of this car. And once you're done, then of course you can start buttoning everything back up. But all right, so that's the way I remove this EGR cooler. And once I remove the EGR cooler, I will recommend, and I'll put everything in the description, in the parts. And once you remove the cooler, it's best to go ahead and change this valve right there, the black one. So the cooler is there, the valve is here, and I'll show you a picture on the screen. And then once you're at it, on the opposite side of this, there is a sensor. It's best to replace the sensor also. That's the sensor that connects all the way to the top. All right, so there's 3 pieces that you should replace together, because to do all this work for just 1 piece, it doesn't make much sense. All right, so that's the way I did it to replace it. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot for watching. Good luck on your endeavors in replacing your EGR cooler, and we'll catch you in the next one.